Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell, and in today's video, we're going to look at the final motivation theory that's in our study design, which is called the 4-drive theory. So the 4-drive theory was developed by Lawrence and Noria, and they suggested that all humans are motivated by 4 basic drives. And they called these drives the drive to acquire, the drive to bond, the drive to learn, and the drive to defend. So they stated that these drives are deeply rooted in human nature because they actually come from our evolutionary past. And what they do is they influence the way that all humans behave. So using this theory, businesses will need to understand that all employees will be driven by these 4 drives, and therefore they need to implement a range of strategies that provide employees the opportunity to satisfy each of these drives. So let's take a look at what each one of these drives actually entails. Now, the first drive is the drive to acquire, which is where humans are driven to obtain material possessions as well as things such as status and power. And so Lawrence and Noria have suggested that we are all motivated by the prospect of gaining more resources in our lives. Now, it's not the responsibility of the business to give us all these material items that we desire. However, to satisfy this drive, businesses can offer strong financial incentives to provide things like competitive pay or monetary incentives and bonuses. Now, in terms of status, material items can provide humans with a level of status that they're desiring. For example, purchasing luxury brand items can, for many people, provide that sense of status. However, businesses can also help achieve that by offering career progression opportunities or by recognizing and rewarding good work, which both provide a level of status within the business, helping satisfy that drive to acquire. The drive to bond is where people are looking for social interactions and connection with others. And so Lawrence and Noria found that people want to feel as though they belong to something, whether that be the business or a team that they're working in. And to satisfy this drive, the businesses should be looking at ways to allow employees to build those strong relationships. So that could be achieved by creating a culture that's positive and supportive. The business could structure the employees into teams so that they're working together and building connections. Or they could be providing opportunities for social interactions. For example, having work social gatherings or having time to eat lunch together, whatever it is that's bringing people together and helping them build those connections. Next, we have the drive to learn, which is where people have that desire for personal and professional development. So the employees are looking to have their curiosity satisfied as well as taking on new challenges and developing their skills. Now, to satisfy the drive to learn, businesses they can try and provide opportunities for training and development so that the employees can learn those new skills. And the business may be able to offer interesting or challenging work that could even come in the form of job rotation so that the employees aren't simply performing the same task every day and they're being stimulated by performing different tasks regularly and learning that way. Another way for the employees to learn is for the managers or supervisors to provide constructive feedback. And that could be structured in a process such as a performance appraisal where the focus is on growth for the employee, or it could be done by having a management style that's more employee-centered so that the employees are learning about how decisions are made and therefore satisfying that drive to learn. And finally, we have the drive to defend. So the drive to defend is the more latent drive, and it will not really come to the fore until the employee feels threatened in some way. And so it's based on the employees being driven by a sense of security and protection from harm. Now, this harm could be physical harm where the employee feels unsafe at work, but it could also be where the work of the employee is being challenged and the employee feels like they've been treated unfairly, or it could come in the form of a workplace dispute, for example. Now, the business is not trying to threaten the employee so that they feel the need to defend themselves. That's not how this drive works. It actually works quite the opposite. So the business is looking to avoid that wherever possible. Therefore, the business can look to provide a safe work environment as well as job security. Another example is if the business has a rewards program, it should be implemented fairly so the employees don't feel that they have not received a reward that they feel that they actually deserve. Now, there may come a time where the employee does feel threatened or treated unfairly, and in those situations, the business needs to provide an environment and processes as well where the employee does have the opportunity to defend themselves or their work. So if there is a workplace dispute or if the work of the employee has come into question, the employee should be provided a fair process so that they can respond to any accusations about themselves or their work. Now, before we move on, I just wanted to look at some other important factors of this theory and how it works. So Lawrence and Noria found that all 4 drives can actually occur at the same time, and that's very different to what we saw in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So in this theory, there's no sequence or hierarchy or order in which they need to be achieved. They all can occur at the same time. There can, however, be one drive that is more dominant in an individual, and that dominant drive can actually change over time throughout the career or the life of the employee. However, they did state that ideally the drives would be relatively balanced so that an individual didn't have one drive that was significantly more dominant than others. Having a significantly more dominant drive can cause social issues within the individual. And as I mentioned earlier, although all 4 drives can be a key driver in an individual at the same time, the drive to defend is more latent and will not really come to the fore until the individual or the employee feels threatened in some way. And to motivate the employees, the businesses need to look to provide opportunities for the employees to satisfy each of those drives. Now, one benefit of using this theory is that the drives are supposed to be universal for all individuals, so the business can be confident that the strategies they're implementing should work for all employees. There's no distinct ending with this theory either. So like it is with the goal-setting theory where there's a clear end when a goal has actually been achieved, well, these drives are within all of us for all of our lives. Therefore, the business can be confident that following this theory can be used for both short-term and long-term motivation. And as with all of the theories, business performance should be improved as a result of the improved motivation. However, it can be difficult to identify the dominant drive within each individual, and therefore understanding which strategies business wants to focus on. If they want to focus on the more dominant drive to try and satisfy that. And it can be challenging to satisfy each of the drives for all employees as well. For example, if the business is looking to provide a high level of pay to try and satisfy that drive to acquire and those material possessions, it can be obviously really expensive to do that, but also to provide a level of status for all employees becomes really challenging within the business because it's near impossible to promote every employee within the business to provide them that level of status. So that's another issue that can happen. So just to recap, Lawrence and Noria found that humans are motivated by 4 basic drives which have come from our evolutionary past and influence how we behave, and businesses need to provide opportunities for the employees to try and satisfy each of those drives. And the drives are the drive to acquire, drive to bond, drive to learn, and the drive to defend. So that brings us to the end of this video and also to the end of our motivational theories videos. We're going to continue the concept of employee motivation in our next video, where we look at the motivation strategies. And I look forward to seeing you then. But until then, just remember, for questions, activities, and helping your VCE journey, then come on over to teachingbubble.com.